Good evening. This is your Northeast Asia market close briefing from AJP. Black Monday in Seoul. The KOSPI collapsed nearly 9% in the region's worst session of the year, as a global semiconductor rout punished every market but punished Korea 4 times harder than its neighbors. One shock hit all 3 markets today. Friday's collapse in United States chip stocks. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index fell more than 10%, its worst day since March 2020, after a disappointing Broadcom forecast, combined with Iran's weekend closure of the Strait of Hormuz and oil, bouncing toward $80. But the punishment was sorted by exposure. Korea, where 2 memory chip makers now account for roughly half the index, fell nearly 9% and triggered a circuit breaker. China closed down around 2% and Japan down nearly 2%. And inside both, the same divide repeated in miniature. Shanghai's energy names finished higher on the oil spike, and Tokyo's broader topics slipped less than 1%, while memory names crashed. This was not a market sell-off. It was a memory chip sell-off wearing 3 different uniforms. The KOSPI closed at 6,807, down 669 points, or nearly 9% through a circuit breaker that halted trading early in the session. Just 179 stocks rose against 716 decliners. The twist is in the money flow. Institutions dumped nearly 2.2 trillion won and foreigners sold 1.7 trillion. But retail investors bought a remarkable 3.9 trillion won of the crash, catching a falling market at full speed. SK hynix fell more than 15% to around 1,845,000 won, or about $1,230. A brutal sell the news verdict just 3 days after its celebrated Nasdaq listing. And despite Nvidia unveiling new artificial intelligence data center partnerships with Korean firms on Sunday, Samsung Electro-Mechanics lost nearly 11% to around 254,500 won, about $170. The day's sharpest casualty was Samsung Electro-Mechanics, down nearly 19% to around 1,289,000 won, roughly $860 unwinding a week after its glass substrate venture with Japan's Sumitomo. Against the tape, refiners rallied on the oil spike. SK Innovation gained around 7% and S-Oil more than 5%. The Bank of Korea decides on rates Wednesday, with a hike widely expected. Shanghai's composite closed at around 3,913, down around 2%, slipping further below the 4,000 mark. But China's decline was broad risk-off, not a chip capitulation, and the energy trade told the real story. With Hormuz closed, PetroChina jumped nearly 4% to around 9.6 yuan, and CNOOC rose more than 2% to around 28.8 yuan, as Beijing reportedly urged refiners to keep fuel output strong for energy security. Most telling, SMIC, China's chip sentiment barometer on the STAR market, slipped less than 1% on the very day memory names crashed across the region. China's insulation faces its own test within days. Changshin Memory, the world's 4th largest DRAM maker, begins book building Wednesday for a 29.5 billion yuan Shanghai listing, floating a memory champion into the teeth of a memory sell-off. The Nikkei closed at around 67,200, down more than 1,300 points, or nearly 2%. But the broader topics fell less than 1%, as money rotated into value names rather than leaving Tokyo. The damage was surgical. Kioxia, Japan's memory pure play, collapsed nearly 13% to around 67,100 yen, taking its slide from June's peak past 30%. Chip tester Advantest fell more than 3% to around 28,800 yen, and was the single biggest drag on the index. Yet, SoftBank Group, the market's artificial intelligence sentiment barometer, closed essentially flat at around 6,360 yen. The yen holding near 162 to the dollar cushioned exporters, today confirmed what this market has become. An index of two stocks in Seoul, of one trade everywhere. Concentration built the year's spectacular rally, and today it collected the bill. The honest open question is Wednesday. A Bank of Korea rate decision and Changshin's memory listing land on the same day, and whether they steady the trade or confirm its top, nobody can yet say. We'll be back tomorrow at the close with the answer to Seoul's day after question. If this briefing keeps you ahead of the region's markets, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, AJP.